cannot just remove this fence.
We followed procedure.
Your procedure does not supersede state law, particularly on these steps. Have it removed by 5.
Blue light pulsed over the cul-de-sac as I stood barefoot on cold concrete, coffee steaming in my hand, asphalt smell thick from last night's rain. A yellow tape stretched across my driveway like a bad joke. Karen, our HOA president, waved a clipboard and told the tow truck to take my car because my parking decal was 1 inch off center. It was 6:12 a.m. I could hear my kid's cereal snapping in milk inside. I asked to read the bylaw. She smirked and said, "Board decision, not your problem." Then she wrote me a fine for $200 and handed it over like a parking ticket. The tow driver shrugged. The flashing lights made the chrome shine like ice. Something in me clicked off and another switch flipped on. Here's the simple truth and the title of this mess: HOA built a fence on the courthouse steps without a permit. Too bad I am the state attorney. The fight wasn't about a crooked sticker. It was about power used like a toy. The board had gone wild for months. I counted 11 complaints in March alone. They banned chalk drawings. They fined a widow for a wind chime. When I told Karen I'd appeal, she leaned close enough for me to smell peppermint gum and said, "Good luck with that, counselor." She loved saying counselor like it was an insult. I tried the official route first, because that's what I preach at work. I emailed the board. I showed photos of my decal, straight as a ruler. I asked for the bylaw. The neighbors watched from porches, eyes down, because Karen had a way of making life sticky. The board ignored me for 2 weeks. Then they sent a one-line denial typed in bold. Final. No hearing. On May 3, 2024, at 9:00 p.m., she called in a noise complaint on my kids singing the alphabet. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. She said I was creeping around my own side yard. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. Still, I kept it clean. No shouting. No threats. I made a promise to myself, I would use only proper channels. But I would use every single one. So I got to work. Emotions hot, yes. But hands steady. I opened a new legal pad and wrote 3 words, line in sand. I pulled public records on every permit Karen's HOA filed in 2 years. The file landed with 63 pages. I read each word with a highlighter. I set alarms, labeled emails, mapped dates. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I saw a pattern. They demanded permits from residents for the smallest things, but they never filed their own for seasonal structures. And then I saw it. A budget line from April, portable safety rail for civic partnership, $2,500. The next day, a photo hit our neighborhood group chat. A shiny black fence on the courthouse steps downtown, put up after a ribbon cutting. The caption said, "Thanks to our proud HOA for donating this barrier to keep the public safe." My eyebrows went north. You can't build on public property without a permit. Period. And the courthouse? That's my office. I walked those steps at 7:45 a.m., cool wind cutting through my suit. The fence rattled when I tapped it. No permit tag. I called the county inspector. He met me by 9:10 a.m., coffee in hand, sleeves rolled up. We dug through the registry. Nothing filed. I smiled, not mean, just certain. That afternoon, I filed a request for a temporary injunction and notified the sheriff. On the hearing day, I made the scene public. Not for drama. For transparency. We set up at noon sharp. The judge took the bench inside. Outside, I asked the bailiff to leave the doors open. The board, led by Karen in a bright red blazer, tried to march in. The fence they bragged about was still there. It narrowed the steps so only one person could pass. Cameras were already rolling. The inspector asked Karen, "Who installed this?" She turned pink and said, "Our community partners." "Do you have a permit?" he asked. She waved her clipboard. It was a photocopy of a street closure from another event. The inspector shook his head. The sheriff read the order. Remove the fence now. Karen tried to step around him, heels clacking. Then came the twist. I walked up, calm as a winter pond, and set my binder on a portable podium. "Ma'am," I said, "for the record, your HOA placed an unpermitted structure on the steps of a public courthouse, obstructing access on a court day." The judge's speaker carried my words outside. Gasps, then a low ripple of laughter as the maintenance crew unscrewed the panels. One neighbor whispered, "She fenced injustice." Phones went up. The hashtag hit by 1:03 p.m. Videos flew. A teen across the street did live commentary. People wrote, "The HOA that fenced itself out of court." Another post said, "Imagine getting gatekept by your own hardware." I kept it dry. Facts only. The inspector read out the violations. Failure to obtain a permit. Obstruction of ingress and egress. Unlawful encroachment on public property. A news crew showed up with a boom mic. They asked Karen for a comment. She said, "This is harassment." The judge's voice over the speaker answered, "It is enforcement." By 2:20 p.m., the fence was stacked flat on the lawn like a folded mistake. The board's lawyer whispered with her and stared at his shoes. My phone buzzed with neighbors sending thumbs up and clap emojis. Then came the flip. The council clerk hand-delivered the fine schedule. The county assessed civil penalties of $3,000 and cost recovery. The HOA's insurance flagged the incident. Our police chief noted the false reports list. He asked me to submit an affidavit. I slid over the binder. The clerk stamped it. The board had to hold an emergency open meeting. Residents packed the room. When I presented the receipts, I kept it simple. Here are the fines. Here are the calls. Here are the dates. The board voted 4-1 to remove Karen as president. She stepped down, eyes rimmed red, muttering about haters. No one booed. No one cheered. Just relief moving through the room like fresh air. After that, life got quiet again. The tow truck stopped visiting our street. Kids chalked sons and cats on the sidewalk. We set up a little library box and a bench near the oak tree. At the next HOA meeting, we passed a resolution to publish all enforcement actions online with dates and statutes so everyone knows the rules. We also built a fund to help elderly neighbors with repairs, $50 at a time. Karen paid her fines and moved 2 blocks over to a rental. I saw her at the grocery store near the coffee aisle. She looked smaller, or maybe just less sure. I nodded. She nodded back. That was enough. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.